Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator and welcome to McChord Air Force Base in Washington State and welcome to the C-17 Globemaster 3 mod. This mod has been out for a while actually, and I wanted to give it a little bit of time to fully develop before giving it a review, and it's not the fault of the dev, but it's not getting the TLC that I think it deserves, but nonetheless, I do want to spotlight it because it has an amazing external model. Nonetheless, as you can see here, we are at, like I said before, McChord Air Force Base, home of the 62nd Air Wing and their fleet of C-17s. And we're going to do just a quick overview of this aircraft, looking mostly at the externals. We will go ahead and get it started up because I do think the flight model is fairly good. And then close it out from there. So without further ado, let's begin. So getting started right away with the external visuals, which as I mentioned before, are very good actually for a freeware mod. Again, this mod is available on flightsim.to, as is the case with most of the freeware mods that I cover on the channel. And it's one of those good from a distance, but as you get close, it kind of falls apart sort of deals. You can see obviously the textures on those thrust reverser vanes are a little bit bleh. The overall texture of the aircraft is not 1440p ready, I'll say that much. But if you take a step back, it looks very, very, very good. And it's not just the externals of the aircraft that's modeled. Obviously, you can see we have our rear ramp and our crew door, and you can see a bit of the interior of the load bay as well. We'll take a look at that momentarily. I can tell you right now we're not going to pass the patented sample test for the motors, but that's okay. And freeware mod that we're dealing with today. But all in all, from a decent standoff distance, this airplane looks very good from the outside. Boy, Sample, why do you keep mentioning from the outside? We'll get there. Calm down. Really nice detail. Well, I shouldn't say nice detail, but good modeling, I'll say, on the tri-wheel assembly. It's a very unique assembly to the C-17. So credit where credit is due for sure. Intricate landing gear system and all of that is nicely modeled. Take a look at that as we depart. Nose landing gear is equally decent. You know, again, you're not going to be seeing any crazy high-res textures, although there's one. There's one. Oh, there's another one. So it looks like the lettering is actually relatively high-res for the most part. Any extra external lettering that you see might be high-res. Yes, that's the case, which does the rest of the aircraft textures a bit of a disservice, but that's okay. You can see on our missile warning indicator, just a little bit lackluster overall, but that's okay. Going up the side of the aircraft, obviously you can see into our cockpit, which is our area of improvement for this aircraft. That's what I was waiting to see an update on prior to doing the review. Nice array of antennas down the spine of the aircraft. I can't attest to if these are real, but I've seen several C-17s and I know that they're relatively busy. On the top of the aircraft, nice McChord banner on the tail there, and a beacon strobe combo. And now we'll get to the part everyone's been waiting for so patiently. Good job. Ignore those lag texture, not Hemmets. I don't know what they are. Some Oshkosh defense truck. The cargo bay. So again, we've got some 2D textures on the ramp going in. And then things actually kind of take an uptick. You can see a pretty decent detail on the ramp floor. The roofline of the aircraft is a little bit unrealistic. I think I've got some photos of a C-17 I can throw in there to compare. Decent lower poly modeling on the sidewalls. You've got the fire extinguishers. You've got the seating there. This door here actually does open. We can hop in the cockpit and open that door. And then some, I'm assuming this would be the Loadmaster station. Or one of them. Actually, no, I think the Loadmaster sits up front. But I could be mistaken. Moving to the front, we've got 3 times water coolers, which is interesting. our external door to go outside. And then this is where I believe the Loadmaster sits, if I'm not mistaken. Which I could be. A unknown forward area up here. I actually have not been on this part of a C-17 before, so I'm not sure what's, where are we? We're on the back side of that panel. So if there is something on this part of the C-17, let me know what it is, because I've not been forward of these steps on the C-17, and then obviously we have the steps that go up into the flight deck. Looks like a crew rest area. Then you've got the bubble out there looking down into the cargo hold. And then there's the cockpit. Now, I do want to give credit where credit's due. I'm pretty sure this is a one-man operation running this cockpit. At a glance, it actually looks pretty good, and it is, for the most part, a reasonable cockpit. Where it falls apart for me is the lack of interactivity. You can see, obviously, we're sitting here in a cold and dark situation. We've got our entire overhead panel lit up like we're holding the lights test button. Sounds aren't that great. Okay, I won't say that. That's rude. The sounds are okay. Where they fall apart for me is the balance for the sounds is not the best. I do like the little 2D C-17 seats that they have in the reflections of the MFDs. Let's go ahead and put power on the airplane. I'm going to have to turn this down in post. Oh, actually, no, I don't. Never mind. So you can see our displays are on. I'll have to turn down the aircraft once we start the engines. Some of the light switches work. I usually just give it an old click of the L. And I take a look at what we've got going on. Quite a bit of detail, actually. So I do like the lighting environment on this. So anyway, we'll hop back in the cockpit, get the aircraft started, and get underway. So I've made complaints about stuff not working. Let's try that again, simple. So what does work? You've got obviously the door controls here. Those obviously work. Some of your external lighting works, so you can individually toggle your positions for your landing lights, the wing and fuselage ones. Like if I retract the right-hand one and extend the left-hand one, we'll go outside and take a look at that. Also, I've made the executive decision that I'm just going to leave the volume low, and we're just going to deal. Just kidding. It leaves it. Okay, well. Oh, I get it. Okay, so those are the nose ones. And then there's one on each wing tip. Don't. Am I dumb? Stupid or dumb? So it models the emitter, so I've got the right one extended and the left one, the left one extended and the right one retracted. And that's accurately modeled. So we'll extend. Oh, go away. There you can see it actually swings outward, which is pretty cool. I'll give them that. There's just not a model. And the real C-17 actually has a underwing light that will swing down, similar to like what's on the A320. Outside of that, you've got, there's a train. Outside of that, you've got formation lights, which you can turn on or off. We'll leave those off for now. What are you? Is it the wing lights? Yeah, those are the wing lights. Nav lights you can turn on and off. Anti-collision lights. Those are the strobes. Okay, so you can turn those on and off, obviously. I couldn't find a button for the beacon, so I just hit the old L key and it turns on. Obviously, there's nothing coming from the emitter, but there's a decent enough splash. More modern blocks of the C-17 actually use an LED, so this flash rate is too fast. And the same thing for the top. I don't know if I can get that in shot. No emitter and a fast blinking flashbulb type. There's also this strobe light on the rear that just doesn't seem to shut off. No idea I've never seen that on a C-17. I've seen strobe lights in this position on the C-17, but they're tied to the wing strobes as far as I know. What else works in here? We've got, okay, the one really cool thing that I do want to give absolute kudos to, because this was before it was a widespread thing, is a working heads-up display. It's not great as far as symbology and all of that goes, and it looks a little bit askew, but it is cool. I do again want to point out this mod has been around since like the early days of flight sims, so I don't want to rag on it too much. You do have working panel lighting, which is very nice. It's a little bit too bright for my liking. You turn it off and it almost just kind of fades into a white. There is working panel lighting. Obviously you have your working PFD there. ICAS stuff, that all works as far as, you know, your engine indications. You run up an engine. You get accurate readouts there. The autopilot, I think, works. I've actually never tried it just because I can't dial anything. When I say that now, it looks like it probably actually does not work, which is unfortunate. So you're going to be hand flying this. That's the only way I've ever flown this before, is by hand. Yeah, so I'm hitting my actual physical button for my autopilot and flight director. And, oh no, look, there's a flight director. So maybe if you have an external means of, okay, in fact, I do have an external means. Let's go to my flight sim tab, and let's go to the autopilot panel. And I want to go 265, and I want a heading of, where are we, 190 right now? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9er. And I want an altitude of 12,000. Do you hear me mashing my Stream Deck? So it looks like there is some autopilot functionality. I just don't think you can control it from the... And here, so you've got your heading window here with the tape. There's no display for it, and you can roll it left and right, but you're not going to know what you're selecting unless you have a visual indicator like a heading bug there. So we'll go without it this time around. Let's go ahead and close up that rear ramp, and then we will taxi. Guess we can just do this all in one shot. It's not like you're really going to be missing a whole lot. Park brake off. I have no idea how to reset that master caution, so sorry. It's just going to be there for the whole flight. There is pretty good modeling on the nose wheel. Funny enough, it's actually, in my opinion, modeled better. It's not great. I mean, you're still not turning quite at the rate that I think the aircraft is turning, but you can go a full 90 degrees on the nose wheel if you wanted to. I also like the modeling for the thrust reversers that this dev did there. So I'll go back to the idle detent after we finish this turnout here and show you what I mean. So back to idle, and if I hit my thrust reverser bind, the doors open, and they stay open through the range of thrust reversing, meaning you don't have to sit there and hold the thrust reverse button. They just stay open, and they're open all the way. There's none of that half open nonsense like a lot of flight sim airplanes do. And then you release that and you go back to the shut position. So that's kudos to the dev there. That's a really nice thing that I'd like to see on more aircraft models if possible. They are a little bit fast acting. Not by much, but a little bit fast acting. At least from my recollection of seeing countless C-17s over my lifetime. So we're going to go ahead and take runway 16. I don't think it really makes that much of a difference. We're just doing a mostly external flight anyways, seeing as the cockpit is secondary, in my opinion, to the external model. Like I said, the external model from a distance, it looks good. It looks pretty dang good. Especially during this golden hour sunset that we got going on here. Helps if I don't overrun the runway, though. I do find the steering authority of the nose wheel does need a little bit of work. I understand that I'm very much so overspeeding the nose gear, but don't quite have the authority that you'd like to have. Let me demo that actually. So I'm gonna, our number one engine, the far left hand engine on the airframe, I'm gonna spool up now. And we're gonna try to turn this aircraft on a 90-degree steering axis. Just running on that number one engine. Bring the tiller back a little bit, and we'll add a little power on the other three. Just to get us moving. Oh boy, she leapt. Leapt out of there. Okay, let's try that again. So we're going relatively slow now. I want full 90 degrees. And it just kind of rolls to a stop. And then you add power back and the aircraft just wants to overrun the nose gear. So it's not the best, but it's not terrible. It's definitely manageable in the right situations. Anyway, enough talking about nose gear. Let's go fly this dang thing. It's 4 times Pratt & Whitney F-117 engines on the run now. Funny enough, the most viewed video on my channel, and I think it's still public, the most viewed video on my channel is of the C-17 at Dayton Air Show in Dayton, Ohio, doing a power back. And we'll do a power back as well before we close the video out. But I just thought, oh, there's a bird. I just thought that was absolutely hilarious. Just a video of, like, I don't even know how young, 8, 9? I was not old then. Video's ancient. But little old me focusing on the number 2 engine of the C-17 while it made cool little cones of vapor. Oh, we just nearly took out a bird. Now, one thing I will say, I don't think this performance envelope is realistic for this airplane, but I don't care because I like it. So we're going to let all of that go. This thing is a rocket. I bet you we're doing close to, I was going to say 300 knots. We're at 240. I mean, we're still just absolutely sailing. It went over flight of the field. I'll bring her back in. What is that? There's a little light. Did you see that on the horizontal stabilizer? That's supposed to be like a wing light or a logo light. It is. It's not doing anything. When I turn on the taxi lights, I get. Is it wing lights? Yeah, wing lights does tail illumination. But there's just an emitter. For seemingly no reason. All in all, I mean, the aircraft's very maneuverable. I'll give some hard stop-to-stop stick rock action. This is definitely a good candidate for if you're doing some like B-roll stuff and you just need a really good-looking external model C-17 for something. This is definitely a good candidate for that. It does fly relatively nicely too. I mean, I'm obviously throwing it around like I'm in a F-18 and it's just taking the abuse. Relatively good envelope at higher speeds. It does get a little bit docile at lower speeds. Not docile, but mushy. It's docile at higher speeds and a little bit mushy at lower speeds, which I guess I would expect out of a C-17. Never flown one, but I would imagine it's something along those lines. Go ahead and turn up the sim a little bit more again for you guys. Not too much though. $350 knots. Back over McCord Air Force Base. Big trucks all around. That's a pretty good climb rate. I was not anywhere near full back on the stick. And much like the real C-17, you can put this girl in a graveyard stall, so we're going to not do that. I'm going to roll inverted, because I don't think you can do this in a real C-17, but we're going to do it today. At 280, nice and safe speed. Go ahead and open up those rear doors and simulate a troop drop. So you can see these rear doors coming open now. We've got the ramp in the airdrop position. Throwing a couple notches of flaps as we slow back down, coming over McCord. You might want to put it on the golden hour, and it's definitely helping, but this is just a nice airplane to look at. Yeah, this is definitely, it's not a long-term keeper for me until that cockpit gets a little bit of an overhaul, but for just fun flying around, just not really paying attention, or if you want to, you know, do some real light mil-simming an aircraft to fill a role, this will do that for you, and then some. 250 knots, pretty fast actually for an airdrop. 280 on the ground speed. Nice hard pull. Here comes the power. Flaps can come up. Coming out left. The C-17 Globemaster 3. Some negative G's on. Still in the 250 round. Let's get those doors shut. Right, left, and aft. And aft, please. Thank you. And, we're in a decent enough position. We'll get set up for a landing. Touch and go and a breast pass with the gear down and bring them up as we come past the crowd. That's a real maneuver I've seen on C-17s. Flight sim's frozen. Don't know how. Then we'll full stop, reverse into the taxiway, and sign out. Really have to work the trim on this airplane as you start slowing down, otherwise you're going to be putting constant pressure on the stick, and then vice versa as well. As you increase that speed, if you've trimmed your aircraft out properly, then you're going to have to put a lot of negative stick in, kind of like I'm doing right now, which means we're not properly trimmed. But we are max flaps with the gear down. Where that wing light really lights up that whole aft section of the fuselage, eh? I like it. Almost as much as I dislike flight sim freezing all of the time. Looks like that FPA is static. So we're actually going to just go ahead and ditch the HUD. It's a little bit blurry. And I think we'll be fine to hand fly her in normally. Pretty docile winds right now. Obviously the C-17 being a cargo aircraft is adept to adverse conditions, both non-paved surfaces, adverse winds, that sort of thing. Let's get set up here a little bit high on the PAPI. We'll keep that nose coming down. There's our glide path intercepted. We'll start flaring ever so gently. Add in a little bit of power because we're low now. Looking for the TD zone. Let's go outside. Here's the touch, and here we go. One knife edge-ish pass. The gear down. In case you haven't noticed, we are doing this all in one cut. Sorry, not sorry. Coming over center, a little bit of PIO going on. We'll arrest that. Here we go, ready for the break now. Alright, we'll get set up for that short field landing. Definitely not advisable to put a C-17 over 90, but we're doing it anyways. Right, speed check 200. You can see SeaTac in the distance there. Sort of. There it is. Right, gear coming down. Another notch of flaps in. Add on a little bit of power because this is going to be a short field landing for sure. Flap set full. Looking for the field. There is my approach lighting. Real slow here. Power to idle. Shooting for about 160. Don't think we're going to hit it before we're over the apron, but that's okay. Oh, look at that. We hit it before we were over the apron. 156 is what we're going to chase all the way in. Get below 150 like we are now on the airplane. It's a little bit unruly. max reverse, max brakes, max spoilers, and the C-17 Globemaster 3. Little wheel bounce. And a little bit of reversing action. Those ramp doors open. And we'll let those spoilers back in. And we'll reverse into this taxi right here. Maybe. Losing that nose wheel authority again. Just got to watch a C-17 do a very similar move to this from runway 1836 on to Papa 2 at AirVenture. They had the ramp in the airdrop position and guys hanging out of both sides to watch the rear. I'm guessing they were talking to the pilot as they were doing such. So that, guys, is the C-17 Globemaster 3 mod. Still a work in progress, but a good external model nonetheless. And that is going to do it for this video. Thank you guys very much for watching. Sorry if the one-take thing isn't your sort of thing. If it is, let me know, because good God, is it easier for me in the edit. But nonetheless, we'll figure that out later. For now, have yourselves a good one, and I will catch you in the next video. As always, take it easy.